Today we are doing a tournament to find out who is the best UFC champion across all 8 of the men's weight classes. There are 8 champions right now, and yeah, maybe if you guys want me to do another video, I could do, maybe I could add top contenders or something like that, but I want to try this out. Just a new format. There isn't a lot of news lately, so I've been having to come up with these videos, brand new videos, ideas. So during this time with not a lot of news, and I do feel like there's going to be some big news dropping very soon regarding the Manchester card, as well as some other fight cards. For now, leave in the comment section below what videos you guys want me to do, whether it be Q&As or I don't know, anything you guys want to know. But let's just stop wasting time and let's look at this graph. So as you guys can see, we have all 8 of the champions right now, and I randomized it. I didn't make any of these matchups, so we're going to start right off the gate between Jon Jones and Alex Pereira. Now, if you guys missed it, I made a video talking about this last week, where I talked about Jon Jones potentially trying to duck Tom Aspinall, fighting guys like Stipe and also Alex Pereira. And I talked about how a matchup between Alex Pereira and Jon Jones would go. Obviously, Alex Pereira has had a very impressive UFC career so far, knocking out champion after champion after champion, but we know his main weakness is the wrestling, and that is something Jon Jones is good at. I mean, we saw him take down Cyril Gane, a guy that is huge, is very strong, and was able to control him and guillotine him in the first round. So I don't think, for me, Alex Pereira stands much of a chance besides that. I mean, he does have a puncher's chance, but if I were to take a guess on who would win that fight, right off the gate, I'm going to go with Jon Jones, I think. All right, so I'm going to put Jon Jones here. Jon Jones advances to the next round. And our next matchup we have here is Leon Edwards versus Ilia Topuria. Now, another thing that I don't think needs to go without saying is this is, of course, going to be pound for pound. Obviously, yes, Leon Edwards is a lot bigger than Ilia Topuria, but if they were around the same weight, who would win? Now, Leon Edwards is really coming into his own as a champion. Now, he's defended his title twice. Looks like he's going to defend his title against Bilal coming up in Manchester. And Ilia Topuria is rather new. I mean, his best win besides Volkanovski is Josh Emmett, and then outside of that, what would you say his best win is? I mean, I guess you could say Bryce Mitchell, but my point is that Ilia Topuria has not fought a lot of guys, and that definitely is something you got to take away with him. While Leon Edwards has been in the UFC for a very long time, I think if this was actually a matchup, I would probably say that Ilia Topuria would want to get on the inside, as well as maybe mix up a little bit of his grappling, while Leon Edwards is probably going to keep this at range, use his feints, and keep Topuria, on the back foot, or keep him at kicking range and start setting up those high kicks. And I would honestly, pound for pound, see this fight very close, because Ilia Topuria is a killer. He hits very hard, and this matchup is harder than I thought, honestly. Like, I'm trying to think of who would win. I guess if I'm just going based on my own prediction and based on what I think would happen, I would think that Leon Edwards would probably keep him at bay and score a decision win. However, I could also see Ilia Topuria causing some problems for Leon Edwards, so I'm going to make Leon Edwards advance to the next round, and we're going to move on to Sean O'Malley versus Alexander Pantoja, another fight that is very appropriate for this conversation. Now, why do I say this? Well, there is a lot of back and forth right now between Alexander Pantoja and Sean O'Malley. Plus, there's only 10 pounds separating the two, so this fight is a realistic possibility. But apparently, there was a sparring footage that took place quite a long time ago that Sean O'Malley did post recently, showing that he did hurt Pantoja to the body. Pantoja claims in that sparring session that apparently O'Malley was hurting as well, where O'Malley was struggling, especially in the grappling. So we will never fully know what happened in the sparring session unless all the footage comes out, because yes, of course, O'Malley is probably going to post the parts that make him look the best. So even though he posted that, you got to take it with a grain of salt. I mean, training, a lot of things happen. Sometimes you don't expect the partner to go as hard as they are, so you can't put so much stake in that. However, it is definitely something to pay attention to. And another thing is Pantoja is a dog now, especially. I mean, I don't know how old this was, but I think nowadays, I mean, I could see him really fighting through that pain now. I mean, there's been time and time again where we've seen in the octagon he's gotten hurt, eaten a lot of shots, and kept going forward. I feel like maybe this was at a time where he's a little less experienced. I didn't really like taking those shots as much, but nowadays I feel like he takes them a lot better. But let's talk about the actual matchup, right? I mean, Sean O'Malley obviously is a very long striker. I think he would have a significant reach advantage as well as a height advantage. And Sean O'Malley is definitely one of the best strikers in the UFC right now. You saw his performance against Marlon Vera, absolutely dominated him. Alexander Pantoja just fought Steve Erceg, and it was a very close fight. It could have gone either way. I do think that at the end of the day, it should have went to Alexander Pantoja, but I could totally see an argument for it going to Steve Erceg. But Pantoja's another guy that's coming to his own. I mean, look, he beat Brandon Moreno, then he went to beat Brandon Royval in a rematch. I mean, who knows? Maybe we could start seeing him even headline some pay-per-views. At the end of the day, I think, though, O'Malley does have a massive size advantage, and we've seen Sean O'Malley be able to defend a lot of takedowns and things like that, but I think on the feet, it's pretty one-sided. I think we're going to see Sean O'Malley win this one. He's bigger, he's stronger, he has more power. I think Pantoja would have trouble getting on the inside without getting caught, so yeah, I'm probably going to go with Sean O'Malley. And we're going to end the final round of this talking about Dricus Du Plessis versus Islam Makhachev. Now, Dricus Du Plessis won his title against Sean Strickland in a razor-close fight all the way back in January, most likely going to fight Israel Adesanya next, and we know he has grappling, we know he has striking, and he is a guy that is a little bit more disrespected. Like, if you're going to talk about some of the more disrespected champions, Dricus Du Plessis is up there, Alex Pereira is kind of up there, but I feel like now he's finally gotten a lot more respect. Dricus Du Plessis barely won that Sean Strickland fight, and it was a very close fight to judge, and when you look at Islam Makhachev, he looks like the next great to come out of the lightweight division. Like, he looks like on Khabib's level. Obviously won the title, beating Charles Oliveira, submitting him, and beat Volkanovski Volkanovski twice, is now fighting Poirier next June. Now, it's kind of hard to imagine because Dricus Du Plessis is so strong and he's so big. You would think that obviously Dricus would have an edge in real life, but assuming that these guys are the same size and everything, and if we're talking pure skill, honestly, I think Dricus Du Plessis does give Islam Makhachev a lot of problems on the feet by being unorthodox. I think he lands a few strikes, kind of like Volkanovski was able to. We know Dricus Du Plessis has power as well. We saw him knock out Robert Whittaker, and we know he can grapple as well, but can he grapple better than Islam? I'm just not so sure. This matchup, I think, is very hard to tell who would win, and I think partly because, yes, in my brain, I know that Dricus Du Plessis is bigger than Islam Makhachev, so it's kind of hard for me to imagine Islam taking him down. However, if they were the same size, I would probably go with Islam Makhachev. I think Islam's probably better. I think he could probably do enough on the feet where he's not in danger and mix in the takedown, and I think he's probably just a better all-around fighter. I think if Dricus wins, I think it's probably going to be by a finish. And we're getting to the second round. We're almost done, guys. Halfway there. Jon Jones and Leon Edwards. I already talked about, their last few fights, gave you guys a breakdown, so let's just talk about the matchup purely here. Leon Edwards, when you think of some of his weaknesses, I think you got to admit the wrestling here, right? Yes, even though, yeah, he does have some good takedown defense and he can defend takedowns, the thing about him is, look, at the end of the day, if someone's shooting a bunch of takedowns on you, it takes time to defend those takedowns, and you could easily steal rounds against Leon Edwards, right? That's why I picked Colby Covington, and I think Colby Covington, if he would have fought how he normally fought, I think he would have won the fight. But if going backwards here, of course Leon Edwards is going to win. But my point is that even Colby Covington was able to get a takedown in that 5th round. Kamaru Usman was doing good in the grappling in all 3 of those fights. And Jon Jones is a really, really good wrestler, so it's going to be tough for a guy like Leon Edwards, who is a striker, who started off striking, who is learning this mixed martial arts type wrestling, to really get the ins and outs of the wrestling. So I think that's going to be a big problem for him. I think early on he'd probably defend a lot, and I think if Leon had more of a boxing style, I think he would have more problems for Jon Jones. I think if you get Jon Jones at boxing range, we've seen him, show some weakness here and there, but Leon Edwards is more of a guy to stay at kicking range, and because of that, I think it starts off very close, and I think Jon Jones pulls away, so that is why I'm going to pick Jon Jones to move on in this fight. Before we get into the absolute final matchup, we have to decide this one: Sean O'Malley versus Islam Makhachev. Now, I think a lot of people might look at this one and be like, I think we know the answer here. One of these guys have a lot of respect. I mean, both these guys do, but one of them just has a lot more respect than the other, if we're going to be honest. And look, Sean O'Malley has not really been tested that much, right? He fought Aljamain Sterling, and outside of that, I mean, I would say that was his best opponent. I mean, Pereira is also very good, even though he has been losing lately. I know he won his last fight. And my point is, too, we haven't really seen him against so many grapplers. We've seen Sean controlled by Pereira. And I think Islam Makhachev should not stand with Sean O'Malley. I think you would probably get caught at some point and probably knocked down. So I think he's going to try to grapple right away, kind of like how he did with Charles Oliveira. And I think we all knew who was going to win this one. I think Islam Makhachev is the clear winner here, leaving the final matchup, Islam Makhachev versus Jon Jones. And I kind of predicted it would come down to this. I think these two are probably the best champions, but you never know, styles make matchups. So I do like that we finally got, I think, the clear number 1 and number 2 best fighters right now in terms of champions. There's a lot of things to consider here. Jon Jones is on the older side. He's 36 now. I think he's turning 37 in the summer. He is getting older. He's not the same fighter he was. Islam Makhachev is in his prime, it looks like, at least. I mean, he knocked out Volkanovski. Once again, I think if Islam Makhachev was more of a boxing-heavy fighter, he would probably cause a lot of problems for Jon Jones. But Islam Makhachev, similar to Leon Edwards, I think is a guy that stays at kicking range. We saw him kick Volkanovski, try to pick him apart, use his range to his advantage, and Jon Jones is obviously going to have a longer range than Islam Makhachev, so that will absolutely cause problems. And I kind of tend to think that the wrestling is going to neutralize itself. I think we might see like a takedown at the end of the round and help try to steal some rounds, but I don't think we're going to see any of these guys get controlled, so who is better on the feet? I see this fight, the first round being very close, both guys landing, kind of equal shots. Maybe they try to go for a takedown, it gets denied. We get to the second round, I think Jon Jones starts to mix it up, being very unorthodox with some of his shots. I think he's the smarter fighter. I think he'll come up with a very good game plan. He has the wrestling to neutralize Islam Makhachev, and plus I think he has the cardio in the later rounds. So with that being said, I think Jon Jones wins, and Jon Jones is the winner of this bracket. I'm sure a lot of you guys are not surprised. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys want to check out my video where I talked about Jon Jones ducking Tom Aspinall, trying to fight Stipe, trying to fight Alex Pereira, trying to fight all these guys for money, on the screen right now, go click it. Make sure to hit the link in the description to join the Discord server. Hit the notification bell. It helps my channel grow so much because it helps let the algorithm know you guys like the video and helps suggest the video to other people. Thank you guys for watching. You guys are the best fan base in MMA, and I'll see you guys in the next one.